live for another episode of Real Estate Junkies Podcast. Today, I have with me Erik Wright. Erik has been a licensed real estate agent for over or less than 8 years, actually, and has sold over 200 million in volume uh, as an independent real estate agent. In 2019, Erik decided to start his own residential real estate brokerage called Social House Group, which is now home for over 40 experienced realtors and growing. Erik, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me, man. Likewise.
For sure, for sure. So how are you liking the weather out there?
It's not too bad. It's warming up. I was just in
I
Oklahoma
know,
City
right?
for the weekend, so it was 80 and sunny every day down there, and came back and I was seeing people post about snow, so that was a little bit rough, but can't complain. It's sunny out today.
Yeah, honestly, I thought it would get worse, but I guess like we all freak out when in Michigan when we hear weather's getting bad, right?
Oh, it's par for the course. It was 85 3 or 4 days ago or something like that, and as soon as that happens, it's gonna have at least one more day where it snows out. So
For sure.
hopefully we're past it now.
Oh yeah, and hopefully next week we're back to the 80s. Excited to go back to 80s again. All right, Erik. So tell us about a little bit about your story, how you came across real estate, or how you got into real estate in the first place, and how was that journey for you?
Yeah, so I never really expected to become a real estate agent. Truthfully, when I got my license, it was more so just to try to help pay off some student loans. I worked at a company
Wow.
called Velasquez Communications in Livonia, fresh out of college. I went to Medina University in Livonia and played college baseball there for a few years. And I was a data analyst at Velasquez, and that was actually where I got some firsthand exposure to the industry, where I was seeing all these agents and brokers spend, upwards of $100,000 a year on direct mail, and I was doing all the back end targeting and
Oh
data
yeah, I
analytics for
remember the
those.
story. Yeah, this is so
Yep,
exciting. So you were doing direct mail for realtors,
exactly.
the
So yeah, I
company.
was I was essentially seeing how much money they were putting into it, but I knew, being the analyst on the back end, just how inefficient this method of marketing was from a traditional sense. You typically had to send about 8 mailers to the same 300 people just to get a phone call. And
Wow.
those metrics may be better now. This was 10 plus years ago. However, I saw how inefficient it was, yet how much money people were dumping into it. So it really piqued my interest into the industry. And I had a couple of friends that were real estate agents that were making six figures, more than I was making at the time. And I was just really intrigued. And the more I looked into the space, I realized the average agent in the state of Michigan and across the United States is about 55 years old, which is almost my parents' age, which piqued me my interest even more, because I saw like the limited integration of technology and social media in this space. And then that was essentially the crux of my background, where I saw a ton of opportunity for me to just go in. And truthfully, I was like, hey, if I can make an extra 20, 30K a year, pay off my student loans, and just keep climbing the ladder in my corporate job, I was happy. But the more I got my feet wet into it, the more I got that exposure to the entrepreneurial space. Went and joined a tech startup in Detroit shortly after leaving Velasquez, before I went full time in real estate. And it's been full on entrepreneur since then, and just kind of identifying new ways to bring my tech and social media background into the space and try to make it a little bit better.
So hold on a second. So you graduated out of college. What was your major?
Marketing.
Marketing. Okay, so it goes, a little that definitely benefited you. But what would you say getting into real estate, uh, your biggest hurdle or challenges that you faced initially? I'm sure you were pretty young.
Yeah, I mean, I was 20, I want to say 24, going on 25, and I think my biggest hurdle, but also my biggest advantage, was that I had another job. But my biggest hurdle was that it took time. I think that's what most agents don't understand. I think they see what I'm doing now and what some other agents are doing now on social media, and they're like, "Oh, I go post a few videos or run a couple ads, and boom, my business takes off." And that's not how it works. I
Yeah,
didn't sell one. I sold maybe one home. I think about 3 months after I got my license. I didn't sell another home for 7.5 months.
that's crazy.
You
Yeah,
know, and
not
that was me
everyone.
spending money on
Yeah.
Facebook ads. So it was interesting, because like I was so adamant that it was going to work, and Gary Vaynerchuk was a big driving force behind that. I've been following him since 2010, 2011, long before he had any type of like national prominence at all. And really the biggest thing for me was just trusting that it was going to work, trusting that everything I was putting into it was going to have a return, whether it might take 3 months, 6 months, a year, or whatever it may be. Really just trusting in that, and having a little bit of a safety net in the sense of like I had another job, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I have conversations every day right now with agents, both at our brokerage and not at our brokerage, where they're like, Eric, things are really slow right now. I'm not making much money. Is there anything wrong with me getting a part-time job? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, try to find a job though that's going to allow you to be in front of people that might be potential clients,
That's gonna
and
play hand in hand. Yep.
exactly, because like I think that's where obviously it's never anybody's first choice, but you're not failing because you have to go get a side hustle or another job to bring in some money and some revenue to keep things afloat, because times are hard right now. Sales are down 20% or more, and I'm sure it's even worse when you look at like the bottom 80% of the industry.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's just like you need to trust yourself. You need to know that if you consistently do things that are working for other people consistently, that's the most important word, it's going to work for you too.
Yep.
It just may not happen quite as
Yeah.
quickly, or maybe you're not spending as much money or time, so you're not seeing the results as fast as you want to. But if the input's there, the output's going to be as well.
I always say the grass is green where it's watered, right? So it doesn't matter what the circumstances are, as long as we stay consistent with what we do, what works, right? And we will eventually see results. But initially, when you got started, which brokerage did you start with, and what was the type of training that you got, and like how was that journey for you?
Yeah, so I ended up working with a friend of mine. Her dad was a broker, Rich Eisenbinger, owns a brokerage called Rich Realty that's grown significantly over the last several years. And Rich is one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. Really enjoyed working with him for 4 years. And when I joined, I specifically wanted to join a brokerage that was really hands off. It was like a 5K cap. Pretty
Also,
limited
basically
training.
just give you the flexibility to do what you want to do with your business, and
Exactly. And that's what I wanted. I wasn't trying to go to a Keller Williams or somewhere that I had to be in the office X amount of days. I obviously had a full-time job at the time.
Mm,
And Rich was an incredible resource front to back in terms of like answered every question I ever had, guided me, helped me, offered to help. There wasn't as much of like the structured training. It was a boutique brokerage at the time, where there wasn't like hey, you have to be in the office for this training, and that's not what I wanted anyways.
mm,
But Rich was awesome. He was actually a partner on Social House. He was our broker for our first couple of years when we started this business. Before my now business partner Yasmin got her broker license, but yeah, started at Rich Realty. I found a brokerage that fit what I wanted. I think that's
mhm.
something that I always try to stress to people, both when I'm interviewing agents or when people are asking me. I've told a bunch of agents that, hey, we're not the best fit for you right now, because we're definitely more geared towards that entrepreneurial agent like I was, where it's like, hey, we have all the tools, resources, capability, and support to help you become successful. But it is an entrepreneurial grind. Like, it's not going to
Yeah,
be we're going to feed you leads every single day and, take a 65% split. And for some people, that's what they need. They want that
yeah.
structure. They want the,
Mhm.
um, you know, I don't know the right way to say it, like the
They,
more
yeah,
predictable income,
yeah.
whereas
Mhm.
you're going to be capped very quickly on how much you're going to make in those structures, likely around like 100 to 120K in a lot of cases. Whereas you may struggle a little bit with the entrepreneurial side of things, like I did, for 7, 8, 9, 10 months. But once you do hit your stride, that's where the returns are just, and this, like they're tenfold what you'd
Yeah,
experience anywhere else.
yeah. For sure. The cap, anywhere there is like, higher caps, that means you just have to sell more houses. And when you sell more houses, you don't have all the time in the world, right? There is a certain amount of houses you'll be able to sell. And in bigger teams, and where there is a lot of leads provided, and the support and everything that they're providing, that the pay structure, the way it's set up, you would be capped. And after a certain amount of time, you do have to make a decision if you want to create your own database and leverage your own database and create your own brand. And I think for everyone, regardless of which route agents decide to go, they should always go for building their own brand, regardless of if they're getting leads provided to them and they're paying, 50, 60% cap towards the split towards the broker, right?
Right.
So with your marketing background and the tech background, so did you like initially jump right into Facebook ads and generating leads online?
Yeah, so my and mind you too, like granted I do have a marketing degree. That's not where I learned anything I know. Nothing against the college that I went to, but everything that I have learned over the last 8.5 years or 10 years rather has been fully self-taught. And like the reason I say that is that when other real estate agents or business owners or anybody, it's like, there's nothing stopping you from knowing everything I know.
Yeah.
I've learned everything I know from YouTube, from reading. I watch
Yeah.
Shark Tank a lot, as silly as that sounds, and like it gives you nice keywords to go research more and learn more about from a business standpoint. But from that standpoint, it's like, I think when it comes to building a brand, it's so important to be able to understand like what that's going to leverage you for moving forward, where no matter which brokerage you're at, you're going to be able to be successful, because all that's going to change is your cover photo, as opposed to you being solely reliant on the big brand, KW, EXP, whatever, Social
Mhm.
House, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It should be more bottom up thinking, where if you build your brand as an individual, A, your broker is going to look good. They're going to be more successful because you're successful. And B,
Yeah.
you're going to be positioning yourself better, where you don't have those golden handcuffs where you're like, oh shoot, if I leave here, I'm going to go back to zero.
Yeah.
And it's so important too to understand, like, there's so many great brokerages out there. We just saw each other at that neighborhood social event that we
Yeah.
hosted a couple of weeks ago here, and we're so big on collaboration at Social House, because we understand that not everybody's going to be the best fit for Social House. We want to get them in front of other great brokers, other great leaders, and
Yeah.
opportunities that can help them become successful. And who knows, maybe we'll cross paths one day, or we'll work together one day. I think
For sure.
there's not enough emphasis on collaboration in this industry, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And that's really what we're focusing on, is just trying to make agents and the industry better as a whole. And naturally, it's going to benefit all of us as agents, as competitors, if everybody else is doing a better job.
Yeah, I think it's because like everyone's just competing this all this competition mode, right? And they don't have the space or the energy to like think collaboration, right? Because it's always, oh, how do I go take over more market share, right? So when you're thinking that way, like taking over mindset, you're thinking, okay, so that means if you have some business, that means I have less, right? Or if I got more business, that means you have less. So we're competing against each other, as opposed to if we collaborate together, we make the Michigan market or the doing business in the Michigan market easier for people. We will have more business pouring into the Michigan market, and there is always abundance for everyone, right? So that mindset definitely helps, help each other grow, right? Collaborate with each other for sure. So I know I want to get into like, okay, where did you start seeing more success, right? And thank you for playing the music to my ears. Like you didn't learn marketing from marketing degree, right? And I myself learned Facebook ads through YouTube videos and courses that I bought, and it wasn't school, right? Obviously. When did you, and I know all the challenges related to, you got into real estate, what, 2015?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so the Facebook ads were much more easier back then, but we know the challenges that, with the special ads category and all that came by later, lead forms and all that. Like, it's not easy, right? Initially, you could watch a YouTube video that will teach you exact format on how to create a Facebook ad for real estate, but then converting that lead is not easy, right? How was that journey for you? And when did you really start seeing results?
Yeah. So I saw sporadic results, within that first year. However, it takes anywhere from, and mind you, like, this was me kind of figuring it out. So like for
Mhm.
now, the time it took me to start seeing and gaining traction is way shorter now for other agents, because now, like, like, at least at Social House, I've made all the mistakes. I've figured out all the things that didn't work for me. So now they
Mhm.
can go skip all those
Yep.
steps. For me,
Yep.
it took, I would say, probably 17 to 18 months before I started seeing consistent traction. My first year in real estate, I want to say I sold about 2.2 million in sales, as a part-time agent. Second year, I did 3.6 as a part-time agent. And then I quit my full-time job at the tech company after that second year, and I did 11.2 my third year. And then I
Wow.
did 22.6, and then 26, and then 30 million. And so it started to compound really quickly. And I would say after that second year is when I started to see very, very consistent, predictable results, which I think is the biggest downside to real estate, is there's zero predictability to it in
Yep.
a traditional sense, right? Like, you can easily go 2-3 months without getting a single paycheck. And then maybe you go sell, 2 million in 1 month and you make 50, 60K, and you're like, boom, I'm flush again.
Yeah.
But the predictability is not there. And the reason why it's not is because I would say probably 90% of agents I talk to, and I say, hey, where's your business come from? They're like, SOI and referrals. And I'm like, all right, but like, how do you have no control over
It's
that?
not
Like, there's
scalable. Yep.
Exactly. Whereas once you build a business where you have this marketing strategy and branding strategy, where you know that if you input X, your output's going to be Y on a pretty consistent basis, you can start planning a lot better. You can start saying, hey, I know if I spend $2,000 a month on Facebook ads, I'm going to make 12 to 15K every single month. Yep. Because your traditional ROI on Facebook is probably anywhere from, I would say when you're spending like, anywhere from the 1 to 5K range is probably going to be around 7 to 10X ROI, which is significant, Yep. So I would say after for an agent nowadays, if you're doing things every single day, if you're posting this video content to complement your listing ads, your marketing every single day, you should start seeing pretty consistent results after 6 to 9 months at the most. Mind you, if you're only spending, $200, $300, $400 a month, it might take a year. It might take 15 months or 18 months. But something that gets lost as well is that, with that ROI, if you really think about it, let's use 5X super conservatively, right? Our average commission check we paid out to our agents last year was about $7,900. We'll call it $8,000. That's saying about essentially to get a 5X return on your money, you're going to have to invest about $1,500. So if you're investing only $500 a month, you might only get one lead per month, per quarter, every 3 months. But at 5X, when you compare it to cold calls, when you compare it to direct mail, because cold calls, mind you, you're still spending time. That has a ton of value to it. And that's what most people forget about. But it's that's still a good return. That's still a good investment and a good return on that investment. And then at that point, once you start seeing, okay, cool, I know if I spend $1,500, I'm making 8, 9, 10 grand. Then you say, all right, let's bump it up to $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, and obviously do what you're comfortable with. But there's also no right or wrong number to start with. Start with what you're comfortable with. Just understand that if you're not spending as much, it just might take a little bit longer, But I think if you're spending anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a month on Facebook, you should be expecting to make anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000 a month from that spend, and it'll hit a very consistent stride after that, 4 to 6 month mark in most cases. As long as you're consistent with it and staying on top of things. And follow up.
Yeah, I think, that's what I was going. That's what I was going with that. Is that, okay, you said some things. I have to address some things here. So with a lot of people with Facebook ads, by the way, I teach Facebook ads to realtors outside of, EXP and my team. So what I saw with people is that they just try one type of ad and one copy and one graphic, and tried for a few days, okay, at the most 1 month, right? And they give up, right? What would you say to those people? How does that work? Would that take them anywhere? Is there any chance of going anywhere with that?
So there's absolutely a chance you might get lucky. You might get 2-3 leads your very first month you run ads. That's definitely not out of the question. But having the mindset that anything worthwhile is going to happen quickly is just so far-fetched and unrealistic that it's if you ask any entrepreneur, if you listen to podcasts, if you listen to, really anybody that's successful now talk about their failures, there were so many of them before they finally became successful. There was so much, a lot of these companies, that we know about nowadays, the Ubers, the Lyfts, the Snapchat, some of them, sure, you see in the media, they blew up in 2 years. Most of these guys were working have you ever heard of Kodiak cakes? It's like the protein pancakes. They're protein-based pancakes essentially. Now they're nationwide. They're in all grocery stores and Whole Foods and everything. This guy was selling these pancakes for, gosh, I just listened to a podcast that he was on a couple of months ago. It was 15 years before he started. Before he actually sold the company at one time or licensed the company or something, and ended up buying it back because he finally had this idea for infusing protein into it and everything. But this guy was doing this for, it was 12 to 15 years before he really started to see real success, where he wasn't having to go work other jobs and things like that. So it's if you really want to be successful, stop looking at all the shiny things on social media. Half these people are full of it, but, and it's if you can just kind of disconnect yourself from what the media and what social media is making you think success looks like and what the path to success looks like, and just understand that, hey, if you're investing in yourself every day, set really small, attainable daily and weekly goals every single week, you're going to be successful. If you do that input that I'm doing, that you're doing, that other people are doing, if you literally just copy to a T what they are doing, you're going to see at least a percentage of their success at the scale that you're doing it, and it will work. So if you go into it with the expectations that you're going to see results in a month, I'd say 9 times out of 10, you're going to fail. Whatever it is you're doing, whether that's real estate, whether that's working out, it doesn't matter what it is. Anything that's really worth having is going to take a long time to achieve. Otherwise, everybody would have it,
Yeah. Yeah. And people that out there, if you're trying Facebook ads, know that it's a numbers game. Okay. It's a numbers game. So if you, let's just say you invested $500, you got, I don't know, 10 leads the first month, right? For that to convert is going to take time. So if you just stop right there, you might convert 1 out of that 10, maybe, right? Like if you're lucky, right? If you bombard these people for forever, right? But you got to keep going. You got to at least go for 3 months to 6 months before you close a deal, right? So you got to have that budget to invest into if you want to utilize Facebook ads. In my opinion, it's cheapest leads out there right now, right? And if you look at it as numbers game and you set a strategy for yourself, eventually you will see a closing that will pay off for the 3 to 6 months of ad spend that you have had and allow you to continue to use this strategy. So now moving forward, I know the feast and famine business for a lot of agents, I don't know, 80 to 90% of agents in the business are very common. And probably one of the reasons is that they're not, they have all their eggs in one basket. Maybe it's like SOI referrals. And even if it's Facebook ads, maybe it's just Facebook ad. And even if it's cold calling, maybe if it's just cold calling. The problem with that is when you have all your eggs in one basket, you are not scalable, right? First of all. And second, it's like, for example, cold calling, unless you are consistently hammering the phone, you cannot guarantee that you will have consistent deals coming in. As soon as you slack off a little bit, you got 4 or 5 deals under contract. Most agents tend to slack off and they lack the discipline. You're going to have a gap in business, right? So
Right.
What would you say? How can agents diversify their business?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I stress to our team is that you don't have to spend money to be successful on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, with those listing ads that I run every single day, that most of our agents run every single day, those ones are very important that you invest some money into, because the Facebook algorithm for those stationary posts just isn't going to reward you unless you're spending money. Yeah. Whereas there's so many different things that you can leverage on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube with shorts and long form videos that are totally free. It's just a matter of putting yourself out there, because if you think about it, what I always tell our team, and this kind of goes back to a Gary Vaynerchuk book called Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Yeah.
Where essentially, and my favorite book by him, it's one of his oldest books, but it's still my favorite book, because the point of it is basically that when you're in a boxing match, you don't just go out and just throw your haymaker, to try to knock the guy out. Yeah, you're throwing a few jabs first. You're trying to like soften them up a little bit. And what those are in marketing and in business is that's you adding value. Yep. So that's where you do 3 videos a week, in my opinion, that are value adding videos. And this is where you either showcase your local knowledge, showcase businesses that are, try to drive traffic to local businesses in your area that you want to work in, essentially become somebody that people trust, because you're not trying to sell them anything.
You're bringing them information. You're bringing them value.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And then, so like you're having a couple local videos, make one video that's a little more personalized to you, what you enjoy, what you're interested in. And then your 4th video that you're posting every week, and mind you, like more than 4 videos is better, of course, but like, this is like your baseline. Yeah. Your 4th video every week can be a real estate video. It's like your right hook. You're trying to convert them. You're trying to say, hey, I'm also a real estate agent and sell homes in these markets that I've been talking about. Yeah. And so that's how I would really try to diversify yourself and get creative too. Don't just do what other people are doing. Make slight changes, slight variations to what you're seeing consistently on social media. Otherwise, you're going to fall in the habit of what I see every day is you're seeing the same videos every single day from every single agent. There's just defining terms and talking about the rates and the markets and this 2-1 buy down program that I see every agent talking about now, because it's something that's new.
1% down.
Right. And it's like my business partner, for example, later today, she's going out to Royal Oak and Birmingham, and she's doing like a little street talk series where she's going to go.
Those are fun. Those are fun. I actually watch realtor videos doing that. I'll be like, our lenders do it too. And I actually find it fun because it's unpredictable. You can't predict what the other person will answer.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it's like, you're doing a couple of things. one, you're meeting people, and of course
Oh yeah.
it's, I have the worst
That's a
luck
great
where I,
idea. This is like a gem. Like if someone takes this, they have no clue like how much value this you just gave. Yeah.
for sure. And it's like it's really just putting yourself out there and getting comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Mhm.
Like Yaz is a lot like myself. Like I think most people would think we're very extroverted people, but like we both like to be alone. We both like to be at home, just doing our own thing. Whereas if you put yourself out there and you go ask these people, not real estate stuff necessarily, but it's like, hey, what's your favorite restaurant in downtown Birmingham? Boom. You're adding
Mhm.
value to the business. You're meeting somebody that might live here locally. And then, of course, when you put it on social media, you're getting in front of people
Yeah.
that might be interested in those restaurants. So that's like one of the biggest things is just like putting yourself out there. Don't be afraid to get creative. Find what is working for people in other industries
Mhm.
versus, I mean, you see those street
Yeah.
interviews all the time on
Yeah.
TikTok and Instagram.
They
Just
go
take
viral. Yeah, they go viral.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like if you just take what's working for people in other spaces, more so on the platform versus your industry, you can very easily make it about real estate because real estate, the beauty of it is that it's about everything, right? We're
Mhm.
working with just essentially anybody over the age of 18 is a potential consumer. So
Yeah.
as long as we're creating content that's adding value to them and getting
Yeah.
in front of them, you're essentially building up your brand, building up your business, and eventually it will start to generate leads for you. It may not happen right away, but eventually it
Yeah.
will if you trust it and know
For
that it's going to
sure.
work.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wholeheartedly believe in it, but this is way better than door knocking, right? It's way better than going out there handing people out business cards at grocery stores because it's just this new thing. Like, hey, I'm interviewing, and people might ask, like, what are you doing? Why are you asking me this question? That's your path to telling them, hey, we are local real estate agents. We're just interviewing people just for social media, letting people know what's the best restaurant in Birmingham and asking people of their opinion. So this is
Exactly.
amazing. This is an amazing gift. Okay, so once I guess you figured out, started seeing results through Facebook ads, and you did like over 10 million in sales. You got to 10 million, right? The fourth year you said.
Yeah, my third year, my first year full time in the business, I did 11.2 million.
Wow, that's
And then
crazy.
my second year full time, which was my fourth year, this was 2018. I ended up selling 85 homes and 22.6 million. And
Yeah.
that's when I essentially was almost forced to start a brokerage because I couldn't do any more
Hmm.
independently. Like I had to
Wow.
basically build out just a more so an admin team and a
Yeah.
marketing team because like I was doing all my own transaction
Expand yourself.
coordination,
Yeah. Yeah.
showings, marketing,
Running
posting, asking
ads.
permission. I was working 110 hours a week, and it's like that
Wow.
just wasn't sustainable to continue to grow, which obviously I
Yeah.
wanted to do was continue
Hmm.
to scale and grow and
Yeah.
build my business.
Yeah. So now I gotta ask you, what is your secret behind converting Facebook leads?
I would say be yourself. Obviously, authenticity is huge. Like
Yeah.
I've always been. I mean, maybe my first year or so when I didn't have a beard, I looked like I was 17 years old. Like I was rocking a suit, on
Mhm.
occasion. But it's like if you're a suit and tie person, be a suit and tie person. If you're a t-shirt and jeans person like myself, do it and be confident in it and
Yeah.
understand that like at the end of the day, most people don't care what you're wearing, what assuming it's presentable enough. But like being yourself and being authentic is so important to building that brand and really like putting yourself out there in the way that you want to portray yourself. So
Mhm.
like that's the biggest thing is just really understanding that people are going to work with people they like and just be yourself and
Yeah.
trust in yourself and who you
Yeah.
want to be and how you want to portray yourself because what you know about real estate, believe it or not, is so secondary to why most people pick the realtor they work with.
Yeah. It's not about
Obviously it's
how much real
important.
estate you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously important, but it's like, 99% of the stuff you're learning in a 40-hour course is probably going to be pushed off to the side for 99% of your career,
Mhm.
and it's all good information to know. But at the end of the day, there's like probably 3 to 5 things you need to know to be successful in this
Yeah.
industry when it goes down to, marketing, branding, your
Yeah.
general knowledge, negotiating, stuff like that. So those are really the key things right there. Sorry, I know you asked, what was the question again that you asked?
My question was, what's the secret to converting Facebook leads?
Oh yeah, so the authenticity piece was the biggest one, and then just keeping things short and trying to get people off of social media as soon as possible. Most people try to have very lengthy conversations. They're sending,
Mm.
paragraphs to these people, and it's like the biggest thing to understand is that most of these consumers that are on the other end of these conversations are doing something way more important than talking to you or I.
Yeah.
They're either at work, they're out with their kids, they're doing something that's so much more important. So being timely, getting back to if they're asking the price on something, get back to them immediately. I can't tell you how many times I've like forgotten to respond for 24 hours, and the response back is, which home is this about? And it's like you've lost them at that point. So it's like
Yeah.
being timely, and then having your 3 or 4 qualifying questions you want to knock out, and try to keep them to yes or no questions. Are you thinking about buying a home? When are you hoping to get your search started? Are you working with a realtor? Do you have time for a call this week? Get them on the phone, humanize yourself. And then from there, once you've humanized yourself and had a conversation with them over the phone, things start to get so much easier. And then you can set up that in-person meeting. And then from there, most people only talk to or interview one real estate agent. They're not talking to a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So
And it's usually the first one they talk to, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So get them off Facebook, get them off TikTok, get them off Instagram as quickly as possible. Get on their phone. Don't email. Emails get lost so often. Try to get their cell phone, text them, call them, whatever it may be. But most importantly, just keep things short, keep things simple. Ask them very simple questions to answer. Keep it to 1 or max 2 sentences that you're asking them or sending to them. And then as quickly as you can, try to get at least a call set up or an in-person meeting, whether it's a buyer consult or a listing appointment, so that you can actually bring yourself to life, as opposed to them assuming, which they may, that you're just a robot on the other side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So amazing. That's an amazing value. Just knowing this, what if anyone out there running Facebook ads, this is just like pretty much like the principle behind converting them. But let me ask you, so majority of your ads you're running are messenger ads? Like the objective is messages?
So it's actually, I don't actually have like the send message button set up. I don't run lead form ads, which I think is a little bit different
Also,
than some
it's
of
the
the stuff you do.
comments.
Exactly. So
Oh. So
I'd say
traffic,
about,
engagement. Yeah.
exactly. So the vast majority of my ad spend goes towards listing ads, where I leave the price off everything. And people yell at me all the time, not real estate agents so much, some do, but it's mostly consumers, of course. And like, because they don't understand why. And I totally get it. It's like, why am I concealing the price, which is obviously the most important piece of information.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing to understand is that, when we're marketing these listings, our job or our goal is to get this house in front of as many people as possible. Because especially if it's our own listing, naturally, the more people that see your home, the more traffic goes through the house. The more traffic means more competition and offers. More offers tends to mean more money. And the way that Facebook works, same with all these social media platforms, is the more engagement they get on these posts, the more that tells, the more that tells Mark Zuckerberg, hey, people are really liking this ad. Let's show it to more people.
Yeah.
And so it spikes up your organic traffic tenfold, on top of, if you were just giving them all the information, your engagement's going to be super minimal. I get in front of about 400 to 500,000 people per week with my Facebook page.
I just saw you post that 1 million people in the last 30 days. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's wild, and it's like, and it's ticking up now too. That like I've gotten in front of 420,000 plus people in the last week, because now we're starting to get into the spring market where a lot more people are out looking, and that's probably about, I would say, 60% paid, 40% organic. And the reason why the organic is so high is because people are always commenting, inquiring about the price. And then one of the biggest tips that I would give, because this is something that helped me a ton, is find one of those chat bots to respond to their initial comment. Because before, I was doing it all manually, and it was a pain in the butt.
That was my next question. Like, how are you doing it all manually? But thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So at Social House, we actually have it all automated to a large scale, both through tech and through Mitch, who's our marketing guy.
So what do you guys use? ManyChat or what are the other ones?
Chat. We use Chatfuel.
I think you mentioned that in one of the training I attended with you. Yeah.
Yep. So, and it works great. Mitch is doing all the front end work for our agents, where he's actually the one that's going out and identifying the listings in their market to advertise. He's asking permission. He's posting them for them. He's boosting them for them. And then he sets up this chatbot that instantaneously, if you went in and you had said price on one of these listings, it's going to instantly message you and say, hey, it's listed for $300,000. You think about buying a new home this year? And by having that instantaneous response, the likelihood that they're going to respond back to that, are you considering buying a home this year, is exponentially higher. Our response rates have skyrocketed, as opposed to even 30 minutes later, me responding where they're off doing something else. So to where essentially you're at the point where your main job is just to manage your inbox, and have those conversations or respond to those messages through, if you don't have it already, download the Business Suite app. I'm sure you already have it, but to anybody watching, like, download that Business Suite app and live in there. That should be your, to an extent,
prospecting times, right? That's your prospect.
That should to an extent be your CRM. It's great to have an actual CRM, but like that to an extent should be where you operate a lot of those conversations out of. So really just trying to find the right support and technology to make sure that you're optimizing your time. Time is the most valuable thing you have in life, in this industry, and whatever it is. So don't always focus on what the cap at a brokerage is, what fees you're paying. Look at how much time they're saving you. And that's how you'll be able to identify the best brokerage for you in terms of building up your business and your brand, is by how you can optimize the amount of time that you have in a day. And there's only one way to do that, and that's going to be through delegation to either tech or people.
Yeah, it's amazing what you guys are doing, providing that it's insane value to have a tech guy run your ads for you, right? That's amazing, the value you guys are giving. And I could talk about this all day, okay? So and we're almost closing in on our time, but I do have a couple more questions to ask you. So aside from Facebook, Instagram ads, what other platforms are you guys seeing success? I know YouTube ads crazy. There's a lot of YouTube organics crazy. There's a lot of success stories there. Even within our network in EXP, there's Levi Lessig. I'm sure you heard of his name. He did $1 million in GCI his first year as a real estate agent. So like, what other TikTok is crazy? I'm getting football players reaching out to me to invest in Detroit. So what are you guys leveraging aside from Facebook, Instagram ads, and what other social platforms would you recommend?
Yeah, so Facebook and Instagram are absolutely our bread and butter. Truthfully, like we're just starting to tap into TikTok. We're just starting to produce some YouTube content. And believe it or not, I've never had a personal website even. And like Social House, we're just finally building out a website right now for Social House, and which is crazy because where I think the most opportunity is through SEO, which is YouTube and having a website. And what everybody should be doing is
it's
whether
organic.
you're having exactly. So like what everybody should be doing, in my opinion, is they should have a personal website. They should have a YouTube account and create the same blog content that you're creating for video content, right? So if you're creating a video of, the top 5 restaurants to check out this weekend in downtown Birmingham, create that in written form for your website as well. One of the most popular Google searches last year, which I'm sure is true for most years, is things to do near me or food near me. And so focus on those types of things where, again, kind of going back to the jab, 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 right hook, you don't need to post about real estate all the time. Everybody's doing that. Post about things to do by you. Post about new businesses opening. Go make these little, YouTube interviews and then complement it with a complimentary blog and use Chat GPT. You don't need to be a writer nowadays. Make it your own. Don't necessarily just type in a question to Chat GPT and just post it. I think you're going to see a lot of people start doing that. And by all means, this is still a new piece of software. It's not perfect. So don't just trust it to the point that you're just saying like, hey,
you still got to modify it sound like you, right?
Exactly. So like put your own spin on it. By all means, it's a great tool. We use it for our listing descriptions, for instance, for like a baseline for us. But yeah, I would say, the obvious ones like TikTok and stuff like that, you can just reuse the same content you're posting on Instagram and stuff from a video perspective. But I think the most important ones, and like I learned a lot from like Paul Wolfert and Ed Butler, shout out to those two guys. They're incredible. And from a YouTube perspective, and I just know how well it works if you just go out and do it. So YouTube, and then leveraging the optimizing search engine results by having a website are, from my perspective, while I haven't even really started doing either one of them to a certain extent, that's going to be huge. And I've learned a ton about search engine optimization through Social House News, which is our local news company we started recently, where we started in October. We're getting about 150,000 page views a month already.
Wow.
Purely because we're writing great. My dad is solely the one writing everything, but it's like he's writing such great local content that people are interested. They're coming to the website. And then once the Social House website's done, we're getting in front of 150,000 plus hyper local people that now we can start to convert into real estate leads once we have this website up and running, that we can start converting through lead forms and things like that. So just really trusting that, these things work. Again, SEO, as you probably know too, is a slow moving animal. It's not something you're going to jump up to the top of Google results on day 2. But if you do it consistently and trust it, it's going to work. So like those are the 2 biggest ones.
And you don't have to know all of that. You could hire someone to do it. We are living in a globalized economy, right? So there is people all the way across the world, somewhere in Pakistan, who is expert in SEO, and you just hire them, right? You just hire them to do it. Cheap too. It's not like you don't have to pay someone. and all the way across the world for a skill set versus compared to here, someone having that same skill set will probably charge you a lot of money, right?
100%.
Um, since you mentioned ChatGPT, I have to do this plug. I learned this like a few weeks ago, and it changed the game for me with ChatGPT. I've been using ChatGPT since the day it came out. So it's called AIPRM. It's a plugin for Google Chrome. You install that, and when you turn on ChatGPT, it gives you all the different types of prompts that you can ask ChatGPT to do something for you. So you can create YouTube long form video scripts. You can create, Instagram carousel posts. You can create whatever you want. There's like over 3,000 prompts pre-installed into that plugin. So AIPRM. You just
That's
install it
awesome.
in your Google Chrome, and you don't even have to think anymore. It's amazing. It's
I'll
amazing.
definitely
Wait,
check that out. I've never heard of that.
YouTube titles and descriptions. That's SEO optimized already. It's crazy. It's next level.
Oh yeah,
But
and it's only going to
anyway,
get better too.
yeah, for sure. So with the social media and technology, and now the AI, where do you see the real estate industry going? What changes, and how much impact is that going to make on the real estate industry?
Yeah, I was having this conversation actually the other day with a friend about the future of real estate agents. Do I think real estate agents are going to go away? And believe it or not, I think buyers agents will almost always be around, right? I think that buyers agents are going to be a necessity until we get to a place where home buyers are comfortable buying homes purely from VR tours,
Mm,
which I think we're still a long ways away from. However, I do think listing agents, especially with how bad a lot of listing agents are, no photos, no mark, terrible photos on their iPhone marketing. I don't really think listing agents are needed, to be totally honest with you. Like what a traditional traditional listing agent, meaning the ones that just throw it on the MLS, maybe they take professional photos. That's something that artificial intelligence is going to do. I promise you in the next 5 years,
mm.
to where I think listing agents, the two things that need to be figured out from a listing agent perspective are showings, coordinated showings. So just creating a showing time similar app and having a platform where people can go build their cart and essentially pick if they want to run Facebook ads, Instagram ads, if they want to do photos and video. And sorry, I'm giving you an idea I'm building out right now. But like if you're not thinking as a real estate agent, as a business owner, how to replace your own job, you're going to get replaced because there are people out there doing it. And I think that real estate agents on the buy side, I think they're going to be around for a very long time because I think it's necessary to have somebody guide you through that process. Whereas I think on the listing side, paying somebody 3% to throw your house on the internet for you is going to be gone very, very, very soon if
So
real
okay,
estate
you
agents don't
you
start
thought
doing a
about
lot
this
more.
halfway. Okay, sorry to cut you off. You thought about this halfway, but what if, let me call this Zillow AI, okay? You have this new Zillow app where you buyers plug in, and when they log in, it allows them to log in, connect all their financials. We have apps like that, like Credit Karma and QuickBooks, where it pulls all of your financials, your credit score and everything, right? So this new Zillow, which has the AI capacity, looks at all of your financials, all your current situation, right? And guides. It has a AI coach built in that guides you through step by step to become a homeowner. Don't you think it's possible?
Oh, 100%. I think on the buy side, I think it's more the showings, right? Which who knows, maybe real estate agents get
Metaport,
replaced by that's
Metaport. It's in
that's the thing.
progress very fast, right?
I agree. I think we're still a long ways away though from
Yeah.
people feeling
Oh yeah, it's
comfortable
not gonna
not
happen
walking.
overnight. Yeah.
Yeah, not walking through a home before they purchase it. And
Mm.
mind you, it happened on occasion during COVID and stuff like that. And by all means, there's still people that buy from different states and buy in Michigan before they see the house for the first time on their final walkthrough. But I still think we're a long ways away from that.
Yeah, the majority of the market still wants to touch, feel, and I have sold a house in COVID through email. I don't even know what the client sounds like, and I sold him a house for $572,000, and I didn't enter the house myself. That was
Oh yeah,
crazy, and it was because obviously COVID, certain situation, right? But people are getting cars delivered to them, right? Forget about pizza, right? Like
mm,
the consumer mindset is going towards that. And nobody could say, oh, they will never buy a house without looking at it,
Oh,
right?
100%.
It's possible in the future. The more and more consumers think that route, where I could order that thing and it will come to me, right? And AI makes it possible where it makes a perfect match. Consumer logs into the app and it says exactly what it wants. The AI does the search and fits that three house that's available that fits that whole criteria, right? It's way better
Oh yeah,
than an agent can do, right? With all of their time available, right?
100%. I definitely think we're going there, and I think like on the buy side, I think we're probably about 10 years away from
10
buyers
years, good
agents
time. Yeah, yeah, 10 years.
feasibly being replaced. That could have happened
Yeah,
sooner, sure. And
yeah.
that's where I always stress to people, like, probably about 70 to 80% of the volume that's sold is done by the top 10% of real estate agents.
Mhm.
And so all these people that are in that bottom 90% or so, it's like you have so much opportunity, because I guarantee you most of that top 10% have probably been doing this for 20 plus years, going back to that average age being 55 in the industry.
Mhm.
They're not doing anything new. Most of
Mhm.
them, they're not changing the
Just
ways they run their
opening the
business.
door and writing a
Right.
contract. Yep. Mhm.
So like that's where you can really have an opportunity, as a millennial, for example, or younger, or even old, older. It doesn't matter how old you are,
Yeah.
to learn about these new capabilities and be the first ones to do it. Don't wait for other people to be successful before you trust it. Just know that it's going to work, because it's
Yeah.
going to. You're going to fail along the way. You're going to make some poor decisions. You're going to invest money in things you shouldn't have. Trust me, I did it a million times. But if you understand that technology is never going to stop changing and never stop being implemented in this space, as a business owner, I always hear about people saying like, "Oh, tech's going to replace jobs. Robots are going to replace jobs." Yeah, they are. If they can do the job better than a human as a business owner, sure, there's the moral responsibility to employ people.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's like if
If the
you're
people
asking
are not
for
willing to upgrade their
exactly,
mindset and their knowledge, they are gonna get replaced.
if employees are demanding $25 for an hour, $25 an hour for a job where they're doing pretty low level work and not performing at a high level, and as a business owner, if I say, hey, I can go get this piece of tech, this kiosk where you order your food, and it's going to cost me $3 an hour compared to $25 an hour for one employee, and it replaces 5 employees, I'm going
Yeah,
to do that all day. I'm a business owner, especially if you're a public company. You have a responsibility to shareholders to act in their best interest. And their best
yeah,
interest is to improve
yeah,
margins, to make more money, and build, grow as a company. And so it's like, sure, I totally understand the moral side of replacing jobs with tech and robots and stuff like that, but the reality is it's going to happen.
yeah,
So if you want to be in denial and say, oh, be more of a victim and say like, oh, this and that, as opposed to just going out and learning this stuff,
yeah.
you can teach an old dog new tricks. I don't care what the old saying is, you really can. So it's really just being able to put yourself out there and understand where to look and how to learn, and make sure you're teaching yourself those things, now, instead of waiting
Yeah,
2, 3, 4,
yeah,
5 years when it's going to be too late.
yeah. Now is more than ever. It's time to pivot, right? You're not a social media person, become one. You're not a video person, become one. You're not a technology person, become one. Because I mean, it's old news, kind of, right? Like, where if you want to hire an ISA or a call center person in America, it's like $25 an hour. We've
Right.
been doing that for past, I don't know, 4 years for $3 an hour in Philippines, right? So that's just people. That's just globalized economy. Now we are living in AI where chatbots are replacing people, right?
Right.
So definitely now has never been a better time that you pivot and you go to the next level. You constantly stay on the learning edge. Like, I'm learning stuff, like I'm signing up for new coaching programs on AI and technology. Even today, like, I don't have to learn more. What I know enough is pretty much enough. I could be comfortable. I could run my business the way it is because it's all tech leveraged and automated, right? I don't have to learn more, but we have to stay on the forefront of this change. This big change is coming up. Thanks for your time, bro. Again, I really appreciate all the value that you added. Definitely one of my jam-packed episodes so far. One last question I have: do you consider yourself a real estate junkie?
I would consider myself more a business junkie.
Business junkie,
Um,
entrepreneur.
I love real estate, but I consider myself, I love the business side of real estate.
Hmm.
I don't get me wrong. I love selling homes. I love helping people get in their new homes, but I'm definitely more passionate on the business side.
Hmm.
And like, I guess to leave people with one thing is just, always be curious, and never stop learning.
Yeah.
The more you can do those two things, the more you're going to see yourself grow and evolve as a person. And it's so easy to learn one new thing every single day. Just try to continuously be curious and stay curious, not just about business, but about everything in life. Ask questions and learn from people that know more than you.
Yeah, for sure. There you have it. We have Erik Wright here with Social House Group. Those of you who are listening, you're in Michigan, you're interested in learning more about what they're doing with their brokerage, feel free to reach out. You can find him on social media, Erik Wright, Erik Social House. Thanks, Erik, again for your time. I really appreciated the conversation. Looking forward to have you for a future episode.
Likewise, man. I appreciate having me. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, bro.